Well, we're going to be producing a magnificent new balustrade for the bandstand, and it's really, designed to highlight the plight of the blacksmith. We're a sort of largely forgotten trade that's still very relevant today. Not quite so much, obviously, as it was in the past. But we've had a piece of music composed as part of a competition we ran at Bath University Music Department, and we're going to realise that piece of music in iron around the balustrade, and interspersed between the musical score we've got 8 acknowledged masters of the craft who have come up with music inspired panels that they will be forging live at the event, as well as the continued construction of the balustrade components that we've already started making. There's a huge amount of work in this.
Well, that's going to be a fantastic addition to the parade gardens, and I think people can play a role in this too. Somewhere down the line, you're going to be asking people to come forward and help with painting some of the musical notes that will be in the balustrade.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, properly in tune with the awkwardness of the event. I mean, it's not the easiest space to set up, lots of anvils and fires and everything like that. So when it comes to the painting of the balustrade, we're looking for volunteers to come and help hand paint the notes. We want to pick out individual elements in different colours and really show off that ironwork wasn't always black. Safety black. No, we definitely don't want that here. Something far more in keeping with the gardens. We'll be using greens and then different colours to pick out the notes. So yeah, we just want people to get involved.
I think it's fair to say if the event makes people more aware of the ironwork around them, they're going to go away thinking, why is it all black?
Yes.
It wasn't always black, was it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, going back to the sort of 1700s, you see blues, greys, stones. Coming into the 1800s, colours like invisible green, Brunswick green come about. And then, through the Victorian period, well, you've only got to go to the magnificent train stations in London and see the colours, that were used on the ironwork there, just in terms of places that everybody goes to. But colour was a real factor in all ironwork. It wasn't until the sort of 1960s that black became the sort of prevalent non-colour. The fast-drying pigments for black paint were only developed in the 1930s. So, whether there is any substance behind Victoria saying, we want this painted black because of Albert, I can't corroborate. But I do know for a fact that the fast-drying or the quicker-drying paints only got developed in the 1930s for black.
Well, that's the heritage. Looking forward now to the future,
Yeah.
I take it you would like a lot of young people to come forward and become blacksmiths in their own right, and maybe if they weren't thinking of that before, in coming to the event they might change their minds, because as I understand it, people of all ages can actually have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. Adult and children's have a go at forging. So we've got 230 children coming in from schools on the Thursday, Friday. And then on the Saturday, Sunday, you can bring your child along. There's a deli-style ticketing affair, and they can have a go. Same with the adults. You can go online now, book a slot, very much get involved. They won't be very intricate pieces, but obviously it's that experience working at a fire and just getting a feel for what it's like to hit hot metal.
Now look, there's a sort of sneak preview coming up this weekend. It's the Larkhall Festival, and I understand there will be blacksmiths there forging some of these musical notes.
Correct. We've taken on a mammoth task. There's no way we can produce everything at the event. We've been pre-making component parts for the balustrade, pretty much since January. Next weekend, or this weekend, the Larkhall Festival, Iron Art are hosting 2 days for making more component parts for the balustrade. It's open to the public, so people are welcome to come down and see what goes on.
I will draw people's attention to all the websites and make them very aware of the fact that you do need support financially for all of this.
We do, very much so. I mean, just to scrape the event on, we're over 50,000. We're a charity. We need to find money to help fund our part-time administrator, who basically coordinates us volunteer committee to promote heritage blacksmithing or heritage ironwork for what it is. It wasn't that long ago that architects were specifying concrete render for bar stone buildings. To do that now would just be utterly imponderable. Architects are so much better educated. So we're aiming at the specifiers and the general public, because ultimately we need that paradigm shift with historic ironwork. It is everywhere, it is ubiquitous, you don't really sort of think about it too much, but it all needs looking after. For starters, the material that the majority of ironwork around Bath was made from is actually quite different to our modern material, mild steel. So if we lose the historic ironwork, we not only lose the aesthetic of it and the practical nature of whatever it's doing, but we lose a finite resource. There is no longer genuine wrought iron, the original material made. So it hasn't been since the 1970s. So it's a finite material sat out there, and if it's neglected, it disappears, and eventually what happens.